right, this amazing new cookbook is blending science with some creative recipes. It's called the Ultimate Science Cookbook for Kids. It was developed by Highlights, the number one most read children's magazine. Madison Gepper, cooking and crafts editor at Highlights, to chat more. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about the concept of this book, how it all came about.
Yeah, so for anyone who's familiar with our magazines, Highlights and High Five, we have had a recipe feature in there that we publish every month, and it's a total fan favorite. So we figured it was about time for us to create a cookbook, and what better way to do that than to inspire a little bit of curiosity in the kitchen? So we sprinkled a little bit of science in with every recipe so that it's fun and educational.
Let's talk a little bit about the volcano. Let's go right at the top. I think that's the one that kids see and they want to go ahead and make that one first.
Totally. So everyone knows the classic volcano experiment that you've seen at a science fair, and we decided to make an edible version. So we used the Mentos and Coke experiment that everyone knows to make that explosion happen. And then the actual volcano is made out of some Rice Krispie treats that are molded into a volcano shape and covered in a little bit of chocolate. And what I love about that is that you can make it as big as you want, or if you want a little personal sized volcano, you can make it nice and tiny too.
So we have about 75 recipes, some sweet and salty, some creative things, some creative combinations. How did this, the taste testing, how did this whole process, kind of come about?
Yeah, so we actually had three kid taste testers, and their names are Lila, Oliver, and Josie. And basically, we gave them a couple of recipes that related to their tastes and interest, and we asked them to send us videos and pictures and any comments about things that might help make the recipes better. So, a huge shout out to them for making this book as incredible as it is.
That sounds amazing because not only was it, it's for kids, but also kids help to create some of the fun things that you get to do there. When it comes to some of these STEM concepts, because it's not just the fun cooking things, but it's also incorporating science. Let's talk a little bit about that first, as far as incorporating some of the lessons that kids are going to learn in this cookbook as well.
Yeah, so we have fun facts about the science sprinkled all throughout so that you can learn about the food that you're cooking. We also have a bunch of hands-on experiments so you can do things like extract DNA from a strawberry, or you can learn exactly how much water is in a watermelon. Super fun things like that that can get kids really interactive with science. And what I love about it is that it gets kids thinking in the mindset of a scientist too. So there's plenty of opportunities for creativity and problem solving and critical thinking and all the skills that make them young learners.
Yeah, we have a toddler in the house, and Highlights is one of those that every time it comes in the mail, she's so excited to open up the pages, and she wants to do the mazes, and of course make the recipe right away. And we may or may not have the ingredients in the house at that time, but that's another conversation. But just that excitement of wanting to learn, and I just think it's such a wonderful thing, especially as they are so young and so curious about the world and how things work, is getting them involved in a book like this, because this is really going to kind of expand their imaginations.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about what you said about having the ingredients on hand too is we really wanted to make sure that there were no limits to that kind of curiosity and creativity. We wanted to make sure that the recipes were open-ended enough that kids can go into their pantry and they can make it however they want. They can customize it to their tastes or to the supplies that they have on hand. It's kind of our motto at Highlights that there's no wrong way to cook. It's all about the fun.
It's all about the fun. Let's talk a little bit about the parent aspect of this too, and getting involved. Obviously we have spring break coming up, summertime coming up, and there's times that that parents and kids can get involved. And I just love the concept of this book because it's something they can do together. And learn together and know that it's not something that just kids do at school, but it's something that we can incorporate into the home.
Yeah, absolutely. We get photos from our readers all the time where they're sending us photos of their families doing it together. And that's one of my things that I'm very excited about for this cookbook is that they can also send us their photos showing us the recipes that they've made. And it's so exciting to see when kids, really make it their own and take it someplace that we never would have thought of. It's really, really exciting.
Let's talk. You just mentioned that was going to be my next one. The pretzel rods, the marshmallow dinos. Obviously, these are the shapes that these kids identify with and then want to learn. Talk a little bit about what we're going to see in the book.
Yeah, so we actually have a whole chapter on engineering, which is great for your STEM lovers. And with the marshmallow dinos in particular, first we kind of talk about how real dinosaurs stay balanced, which, spoiler alert, they use their tail to help them stay stable. And then we give them some tips for how they might make their own marshmallow dino stay balanced. So we teach them that in order for it to balance, the center of gravity has to be right between its feet. And this is one of those great examples of that problem solving because Kids can hypothesize what they think might work or what might not work, and then they get to test it out just like a real scientist would. So this is a really great way for kids to kind of start thinking like a scientist would, but it's through a really low stakes and fun method with food.
And the final thing, as far as ages, how early do we want to, start these kids? As far, what is the ages, for this cookbook?
Yeah, so 6 and up is our suggested age range, but we have included recipes for every experience level. So even if you have a younger sibling who wants to join in, we've got super simple recipes where you're, pairing a piece of banana with another kind of flavor just to see how it tastes. So there's really something for every age in this book.
Yeah, Madison, you thought of that. You can't, you have 2 kids in the house and you have a 6-year-old. You know that all the younger one's going to want to participate too.
Absolutely, of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. The Ultimate Science Cookbook for Kids. Go ahead and check it out where books are sold. And thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.